How do you think this event's going so far?
Well, I've only been here briefly, so I saw Carly, who was absolutely fantastic. I thought a couple months ago, when she first was really out there in public, that she was just an extraordinary platform speaker, and if anything, she's gotten better. I mean, she just blew the roof off of this place, and is also a really eloquent and powerful speaker about life.
Yeah, that's great. And, you know, we look at the current platform or the current number of candidates that we have running for president. There are a lot of them. As far as the core issues go, I think they're fairly solid, but you can kind of feel that there's some division in the ranks right now, definitely along the lines of, let's say, the trade bill. How do you think they're going to handle that?
Well, I think there is a division on trade. It's not an enormous one. You know, if you look at the vote in the Senate and the House among Republicans, it was pretty uniformly in favor of this trade agreement. The Republicans lost about 50 guys in the House, but it went down because Democrats are almost universally opposed to it. And in the field, you have a few, Huckabee, I guess Santorum, maybe I'm missing Carson, I might be missing another one, have come out against this fast-track authority. But for me, it really shouldn't be controversial. One, because trade is good for us and for the world, but also just because if you're going to get any sort of agreement, you need this authority first. And then if you don't like the agreement, when there's a real debate over the specifics, you can still vote it down.
It's definitely a contentious issue. And then that brings us, of course, to one of the most contentious, the life issues. Abortion, one of the strongest issues. And as we say, you have the Declaration of Independence, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. If we don't have that foundation, if we're not even born in the first place, we don't really have anything else, do we?
Of course. And some people say, oh, it takes a religious commitment. But it doesn't really. It's reason. Because when a human being is conceived at that moment, that is a new being that's never existed in the world ever before and never will again. And for me, it's just basic common sense that you will not destroy, go out of your way to harm that being. And this is the one social issue. The culture is moving against us rapidly, unfortunately, except for on this. It's because science and common sense and ultrasound and a whole bunch of other things are on our side. And we've been told for, 40 years now, we have to give up, it's inevitable, we're going to lose, and that's not true. We've been making progress, slower progress than all of us would like, but encouraging progress. So this is something we just have to dig in on and keep going at, and my hat is off to everyone who devotes their working hours to this with every fiber of their heart and their being, because it's so important, it's so fundamental.
Oh, that's great, thank you. In addition to that, you've probably heard about the 20 weeks pain-capable bill that's up there. They've been kind of struggling whether or not they can get that one to go through. What can you say to folks out there, and maybe what can they do to help make that bill go through?
This is the thing about congressmen and women, and I have a lot of respect for them because it's not an easy job. They're kind of working all the time. They go home on weekends and they do events and all the rest of it. But there's an element of every politician that's kind of cowardly and can get pushed around. So the key thing for our side is to push and to make sure they're hearing from us. So call, email, write, show up at town hall meetings, ask the questions, do it, civilly and responsibly, but do it forcefully. It's just important that politicians hear our voices.
Amen. And what do you think about, as far as National Review goes, what's getting the most buzz, let's say? What's getting the traffic nowadays?
It's a lot of, there are two things. One, it's religious liberty and the assault on free speech, which seems to get worse every day, and we spent a lot of time pushing back on that. And then there's the 2016 politics, where real people, I think, are just very beginning of tuning in, and it's just going to get more intense almost week by week from here on out.
And prediction on the Supreme Court and the Marriage Act or Marriage Bill or whatever's the Same-Sex Marriage Act?
It should be a decision, but it'll be more like an act of legislation probably.
Yeah.
I assume it'll be bad, and I don't know how bad. I have colleagues that are optimistic maybe they'll stop short of fully declaring it a constitutional right, but I fear the worst on this one.
I kind of feel the same way. I think it's going to happen, and I think that it's one of those that it's a hard thing to put your foot down on, because they make such good arguments from the other side. I mean, from their perspective, they're saying, well, we're humans too, why don't we have rights? And that's a really hard thing when you've got a society that is basically ignorant. I mean, I think we've heard many politicians say it's one of the difficulties we have. How do we deal with that general lack of understanding of issues in this country?
It's very difficult. And marriage is especially difficult because our culture is driven more than anything by kind of expressive individualism, where you sort of get to do what you want. And there's a lot of power to that idea. That's an important idea, but you can also spin it out to so far that you're eroding other important truths. So I think we just have to hold up the banner for what we believe there, but be realistic about how much progress we're going to make on that one. 'Cause even if the Supreme Court weren't imposing its will, which it probably will, you're getting in these polls solid majorities in favor of it. And if the natural process would work itself out, you're probably going to get gay marriage anyway, but it would happen on a state-by-state and slower and kind of more appropriate pace for what is, at least in principle, a pretty radical social change.
On a final note, speaking to, let's say, church leadership, pastors out there, anybody who's involved in the life issues, even the Pope has spoken strongly on this. What can you say to church leadership about what they need to do about the abortion issue?
Speak the truth. Keep speaking the truth. And this is one, again, going back to what we were discussing previously, where not only is the truth on our side, it really is, to quote the Declaration, self-evidently on our side. So keep the faith, don't be discouraged, and just keep at it.
Great. Thank you, Rich. Appreciate the time. It's Rich Lowry with National Review Online. And what's the website?
NationalReview.com.
NationalReview.com. Thanks again.